AFC Championship game was one to absolutely remember or maybe forget if you're a Bills fan, as the Chiefs escape with the win, 32-29. Josh Allen came into this game with the most postseason wins without a Super Bowl start ever, 7 of them. Patrick Mahomes comes in at 3-0. Now he is 4-0, throwing for over 300 yards a game, 8 touchdowns, now 11 touchdowns, including his rushing ones, if that's where the stat kind of implemented it at first when they were showing it on the TV. And no interceptions. I mean, yes, he did have that turnover where he was, handing the ball off. But outside of that, Patrick Mahomes does not make mistakes in the playoffs. And that's why when people don't look at the fact that Jalen Hurts does not make mistakes in the playoffs as well, does not throw interceptions, just like Patrick Mahomes, why doesn't Jalen get the same respect? With the Chiefs coming out, with the Bills coming out and having a 59-second first possession, that kind of just told you where the offensive game plan was going to possibly go from there on out. Now, yes, they did get better as as the drives went on, but 2 awful throws from Josh Allen to start the game. Just breathe, brother. Breathe a little bit. Understand the situation that you're in. Obviously he couldn't have thrown 2 interceptions there, but his 2 first passes of the game were awful, and they were in harm's way. The Chiefs were getting the ball out quick. They were marching down the field. 90 yards for the score with such ease, and that was kind of embarrassing to see. Like, Sean McDermott is a defensive-minded coach. You have a solid defense. Now, yes, all things considered, it did not look good in this game because Sean McDermott still is giving up 35 points per game in all 4 of his playoff losses to the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's not Josh Allen. Josh Allen is doing enough. His coach and his defense are simply failing him. And the Bills were struggling to contain Patrick Mahomes early on. That's very unfortunate because you see he was the one that had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, and he beat them multiple times, made multiple plays. At one point in this game, he was 5 for 5 on third down scrambles. That's something that you have to contain if you want to have any chance at beating one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game in Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, which he's never not seen, in Arrowhead, where he's never not played said game. The Bills fans knew this. Sean McDermott knew this. That entire defense knew this. Thankfully, Buffalo was able to capitalize off of that lousy turnover from Kansas City. That, again, Kansas City just doesn't ever make mistakes like that. And again, they were able to capitalize off that. If they wouldn't have been able to, I think we stare at that moment very intensely in the game. And it seemed like Josh Allen was just trying to play too much hero ball. I don't know if it was just me, but it seemed like he didn't want to really rely on Shakir, on Coleman, on Hollins. James Cook had a hell of a day. Multiple touches with over 100 yards. We'll get to those specific numbers in a second. And I don't know if it was necessarily Joe Brady not setting him up correctly, which we do have to take a look at. Of course, Sean McDermott's defense, maybe that made Josh feel like he had to play hero ball. Maybe he still is encapsulating the 13 seconds to when he came off the field and his defense sold him. I don't know exactly what it is, but thought Josh Allen was, at certain points, they depended a little too much on him. And I get it. It's the best player. You live and die with your best player. But situational football is what wins games in this league. And speaking of how porous that Bills defense was early on, Kansas City at one point had 26 plays with 15 first downs. It was actually with about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. They'd only faced 3 third downs at all up until that point. The offense was just clicking much more in this game than it was in the Texans game. It was night and day. I got to admit, I'm pretty unsure about that big play from Mahomes to Worthy at the end of the second quarter. If you ask me, it looked like an incomplete pass, or if anything, a Buffalo interception. I really thought that defender had more possession and just control of the ball overall than Xavier Worthy did. It hitting the ground is not really my problem because you can catch the ball and it can hit the ground. It just can't move. It just didn't look so much like a completed pass to Kansas City, and everybody is raving about it. And I don't blame them. It's a shitty call. It should have been a corrected call. And if we're going to see something like this in the Super Bowl be called incomplete, everybody is going to look right back to this moment. Josh Allen had a big play at the end of the second quarter to, get the Bills into field goal range. Another bomb to Matt Collins also for the touchdown. So you saw Josh was really having to be that superhero, and rightfully so. Darby, the script is written. Chiefs win. Travis proposes to Taylor. Travis actually already proposed to Taylor. It's just really been down on the low, and I'm even surprised about that. Announces his retirement shortly after. If Kelsey did that, bro, I wouldn't be shocked. He'd be a 4-time champ. He's getting older. Possibly he wins a Super Bowl MVP. He's part of a dynasty. I wouldn't blame Trav if he decided to step away. I really wouldn't. Josh Allen needs to be better. Yeah, he does. I think he was solid, all things considered, but he clearly, could have been better. Allen and Jackson can't win the bin game. Yeah, they absolutely can. It sucks big time for two elite guys like Josh Allen and almost said Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson just not being able to punch their tickets into the biggest games. And that's just so embarrassing at certain points. I mean, excuse me, Patrick Mahomes has played an AFC championship game outside of Kansas City, and he won it because the Ravens only put up 10 points. Now, Kansas City only put up 17. But at some point, Lamar and Josh have to get over the hump. I mean, they simply just have to. So when you looked at, as this game's going on, you're like, all right, this is what the Bills have to do to adjust at halftime. They got to force Kansas City into more third downs and punts, which they really didn't. You have to get to the quarterback, which they really didn't. And you got to keep it out of a one-score game because the Chiefs came into this game winning 16 straight one-score games. It's the most in NFL history, including regular season and postseason. I think actually dating all the way back to the Super Bowl last year, if I'm not mistaken, or clearly it was right after the season started this year. And now they have won 17 straight, a full NFL regular season slate of one-score games. Obviously, it wouldn't date back to the Super Bowl because now we're, 20 games into the season. This is 20th game that the Chiefs have played. Again, Mahomes was 5 for 5 on first down scrambles to open the second half, and the Bills just really failed to contain him there. I thought the Bills losing Benford was really, really major for the defense. He has been a playmaker at very pivotal parts for them this season, and it's never easy to lose one of your star defensive players and continue to think that you can have those same effects defensively. Patrick Mahomes was also perfect on third down passing as well at some point in this game. With about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, he was 3 for 3, 46 yards, and 3 first downs on third down passes before Matt Milano got in, was able to take him down and kind of disrupt some of that flow that was there. I got to give some blame to Joe Brady, though. Josh Allen only having 3 rushes in the first half and really just 2 since the opening play, which was a design quarterback run. And your running backs only having 8 carries in the first half was not a recipe for success. I mean, we know how good that James Cook and Josh Allen are. And I love seeing James Cook come around. He's a damn good dog, and I'm very, very glad that Buffalo is just really utilizing him correctly. And it's probably a good thing that Joe Brady's staying there because this offense needs to stay high-powered and elite. But then the run game started to come back around at the end of the third quarter. You had Cook, you had Johnson, you had Josh Allen. On that touchdown drive that they had, 8 straight rushes, 10 total rushes with 1 pass. It led them to a touchdown on their best drive thus far of the game. James Cook himself had 5 carries for 45 yards. And a touchdown. And I really thought that they leaned into their strength on that drive because in the first 5 drives, they had 43 yards. And then that touchdown drive itself had 73 rushing yards in terms of 43 rushing yards on the first 5 drives. They finished with 30 carries for 147 yards, which is pretty solid, all things considered, about 5 yards a carry, and especially against a Steve Spagnuolo defense. But it was too little, too late. And when you don't allow James Cook to have a bigger game than 16 touches for 134 yards and a touchdown, averaging 6.5 yards a carry, I still thought he needed to have more touches in this game. And I think that shows with the slim margin on the scoreboard because there were no turnovers from Buffalo. There were no turnovers from Josh Allen. I mean, how much better could your best player play? You have to get the ball out of his hands because he cannot do it all the time. The 4th and 1 to open the fourth quarter, no James Cook in the backfield was very confusing, but you live and die with your best player in Josh Allen, and he was able to deliver. And you got to give credit to Buffalo. I mean, being able to lean on the run after many, many years of just being very Josh Allen-centric. Sean McDermott and, Josh Allen had always been dubbed as that team, that duo, coach and quarterback, that weren't able to really engineer a great run game later in the season. They couldn't run the ball in December. They couldn't run the ball in February. And if you can't do that, you're usually not playing in February in the Super Bowl. So it felt at certain points in this game that they were Josh Allen-centric no more, but I stand to be corrected as that is kind of what happened as this game went on. The 4th and 1 call that the referees botched for Josh Allen getting over the line, I can't even get over that at this point. The call before it was spotted a little short, and the fact that you have one ref coming out saying that it was fine, another ref coming out behind it saying that it's not. Allen was over the line, if not, just at it, which I think if you get to the first down line on a pivotal 4th down play like that, or really any play, right? You got to the line to gain, so give it to him. Give it to them. They can get to the goal line and just the tip of the ball has to go over, so give it to them. If not, change the rule to where the entire ball has to get over it, because as it stands, Josh Allen should have been given that first down. And of course, the Chiefs go down the field, score instantly from that turnover on downs, and it just makes everybody sick seeing the game play out like this. I mean, it felt like we were robbed potentially of a better game because of these calls. But I got to give out a shout out to Andy Reid, getting Patrick Mahomes pretty mobile in this game. The first postseason game with 2 rushing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, multiple conversions with his legs when he needed it. And, at one point, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were just trading big plays. I mean, Allen had the huge throw to Hollins to put them in the red zone. Both teams scored a touchdown every time they got to the red zone, which was very remarkable. I was a little curious about the Bills going for it on 4th and goal later in this game. I was wondering if they should just kick the field goal and trust the defense. Clearly, they weren't able to do that, as that defense gave up 32 points. Again, Sean McDermott's defenses are giving up 35 points per game in the 4 losses to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs. But it paid off beautifully. They scored. So it was fine. It was absolutely fine. And even despite a face mask, putting Kansas City past midfield and then marching down the field, for once that Bills defense stood up, put great pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and really forced a field goal. But final play of the game, it was an amazing blitz by Spags, an exotic blitz that he held in the bag the entire time, really the entire postseason or game at least. And even Tony Romo called it, forced Josh Allen into a wild throw, but wildly enough that could have been caught. Josh put it in a place for his receiver to catch it. Now, that is a crazy catch. That is a heck of a catch to try to make with multiple defenders around you. But your best player, your quarterback, gave you a chance, and you simply weren't able to deliver with it. The Bills really gave it everything they had, I thought, for the most part, outside of not giving James Cook a few more touches and getting a little more creative with the pass game for you to lose by 3 in Arrowhead. The Bills fans shouldn't hang their heads too much. I really felt like the Bills just about left it all out there on the field. So I don't know what more can really be drawn from this. Yeah, he did already propose. James Cook had a badass touchdown on that drive. Yeah, he did. He had a very, very nice touchdown on that drive. And I really appreciated the fact that he was able to, get in the end zone. It was a tough one to get in the end zone for sure. I mean, he really had to stretch out for it, but that's what you got to do against Steve Spagnuolo. That's what you have to do against these defenses, no question about it. And, just how much better could have Josh Allen played? I mean, seriously, how much better could Josh Allen have played in this game? No turnovers. I mean, he did fumble, but he did recover it. He had almost 2 interceptions at the start of the game, but he pulled that together. 65% completion, played just as well as Patrick Mahomes. The final throw was catchable, but that Sean McDermott defense, giving up 35 points per game and all 4 losses to Kansas City, is the major takeaway from this. I mean, seriously. And you didn't force the Chiefs into more 3rd and 4th down scenarios. The Chiefs were 60% on 3rd and 4th down in total in this game, 6 for 10. The Bills were 9 of 20. You have to get more creative offensively. It's a good thing that Joe Brady's staying there, because I was very curious if we saw what it was like with Ken Dorsey. I stand to be corrected, as Joe Brady has done great things. But you have to ask yourself, now, where does Buffalo go after this loss? I think you got to get more star power at wide receiver, possibly a better running back too, with a new defensive scheme as well. I don't think firing Sean McDermott is the exact answer, because if you look at his defensive ranks over the years with the Buffalo Bills, in 2017, when he first took over as the coach, 18th in points, 26th in yards, not so great. In his second year, they were still 18th in points, but they were 2nd in yards. In that third year, in the 2019 season, they were 2nd in points, 3rd in yards. 2020, 16th in points, 14th in yards. 2021, best defense in the league, 1st in points, 1st in yards. Followed it up in 22 and 23 with 2nd in points, 4th in points, 6th in yards, 9th in yards. And then this year they fall back a little bit, 11th in points, not horrible, and 17th in yards. You can kind of get away with giving up a decent amount of yards in the league, but how is your red zone defense? How is your situational football? That's the real question. So if we're going to sit here and say that a head coach 4 out of his 8 seasons gave you a top 5 to the best defense in the NFL, I don't think that's really your answer. what better coach is out there? Are you going to promote Joe Brady, which I don't think would be a bad idea, honestly, now that I think about it here on the show? That would probably be your next guy in line. But I don't think firing Sean McDermott is the answer. You need to go get more star power at wide receiver. I get it. Shakir, Coleman, Hollins, great stories, great guys. But Amari Cooper, yes, is a solid receiver, but he's a 10-year veteran. He's not very special anymore. And before you guys come at me in the comments, I just don't believe he's a game changer anymore, at least not for this Buffalo Bills team. You take him over, maybe put him with a young quarterback who really needs some good experience, like a Jaden Daniels, maybe a Drake May, just spitballing. Veteran leadership, showing him how to lead him correctly on routes. That's great. But I don't believe Sean McDermott being fired is the answer. And you simply just have to go get more star power at wide receiver and get somebody to really complement James Cook. Ty Johnson's solid, but you need a 1-2 punch in today's league. In the NFL, you need a 1-2 punch at the running back position. So I'd love for y'all to get in the comments and in the chat. Let me know your takeaways from the AFC title game. Where do you think that the Bills should go after this? Do you believe Sean McDermott being fired is the answer? Again, I don't, but I love to hear from you guys down low.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.